Hey everybody, it's Dr. Jensen with CCJ 3701, Research Methods in Criminology. So we're kind of picking up with part two here on careers, and in part one we talked about human resources. These are some of the job titles you would search for job searches in HR. So you have training, recruitment, payroll, compensation, benefits, being a specialist or a manager, maybe doing mediation, etc. So just be open to different kinds of jobs that might interest you. Next, we're moving into social research and data analysis. So this is the second most popular area among sociologists or criminologists, social scientists with a master's or a doctorate degree. And so I tell people all the time, if I wasn't a professor, I'd probably be looking at working for a research firm like the Bureau of Justice Statistics under the Department of Justice, doing data analysis for them. That's probably what I would be doing instead. So again, the purpose is to evaluate programs and social problems, study behavior. Pretty good median earnings right here. And again, the longer you do it, usually the more you get, especially as you get expertise and you can start to be in charge of studies and collecting data. Really good job outlook growth here, 18% by 2020. But this is a really important bullet to look at. It's typically difficult for bachelor's degree candidates to just jump into social research and data analysis because often they don't have the skills. However, you are the exception to that rule. You've now had a class where you had to analyze your own data, write tables, code variables, and most undergraduates do not get that kind of training. So you will have to showcase those skills on your resume and be able to articulate them to an employer. But again, they usually are found more often at the master's level. So be very proud of yourself. You've learned master's degree level statistics and research. And often I have students contact me from the past and say, hey, Jensen, I'm in grad school now. And basically I did 2 different semesters of coursework in statistics. And I haven't learned anything new from what you taught me back in my research methods class. All that stuff's the same. And, so thank you for teaching me the right stuff a little earlier because this class has been super easy. I've had, over 100 of those kinds of emails come in over the years that people have said, I had no idea how useful this class was until my manager gave me some data and I had to analyze it. So realize data analysis skills are found in every organization. Every organization has data and it needs to be analyzed. It might be clients, it might be customers, probationers, inmates. You never know. And they say, okay, we want to know about our population or people we're serving. We want to know, if this is effective or not. And statistics are going to be the way to do that. So whether you write your own survey someday, you collect your own data, or you analyze existing data from somebody else or from some other database, the same skills apply. Now you can do analytical things, identifying statistics and variables that will get you answers to questions and be able to articulate what those answers mean so people can make decisions with them. So again, this area I'm very passionate about. Sometimes you have to be patient because you need to kind of network with people looking in those unexpected places. We use these skills a lot in marketing and customer relations, try to make decisions on products and services. So look for organizations that appeal to you, the kind of issues and populations you'd like to work on, and then gain relevant experience. In the meantime, you may have to be a research assistant at first before you become a research associate. And actually, you'll find some good opportunities in government too. So we find these jobs with city management, regional planning, Census Bureau hires many people that do this kind of a work. And so I actually had a student challenge me on that. They said, I think you're full of crap, Jensen. And I said, really? And they said, yeah, I'm going to go look at this. So they actually looked up Census Bureau jobs at usajobs.gov. And they said, wow, some of these survey researcher jobs, starting salary, $73,000 with a bachelor's degree and having 6 credit hours of statistics. You've actually had 7 credit hours of statistics. So this class is 4 credit hours. Plus you've had some other statistical class, an introductory class that was 3 credit hours. And then you have this nice paper that you can also submit in your portfolio to your employer. Say, yeah, look, I did all this. I wrote all this originally. I ran every statistic. I coded every variable. And this is proof that you know how to do all this kind of stuff. So he saw that Census Bureau job and was really excited by it. He said, well, actually, there is some pretty good money for someone with a bachelor's degree in these skills to do. And I said, sure there is. So again, data analyst, in reality, I think everyone's a data analyst. So these jobs use SPSS or some other statistical package like Stata or R, or SAS to analyze all sorts of data from surveys or databases of existing customers, clients, patients, patrons of an organization. Entry-level analysts can start at about 53,000, but experienced analysts can make well over 250,000 a year. So this has great earning potential. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And I know you're saying, I've only had one semester in this. How can I be an expert? You are 16 weeks ahead of somebody else. Most people never get this kind of training. And so because you've done it before, you have more experience than everybody else. And again, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Often you need to be prepared to get that master's degree, which will fine tune your research skills and give you more tools to work with. And again, really good government and marketing demand for statisticians and analysts. There's all kinds of positions out there, and you can search on keywords like SPSS or data analysis, researcher, statistician, evaluator. So use those kinds of words to try to find these opportunities, and I think you'll be surprised with what you find. So if you're geeking out over data and you think this is kind of creative and fun, it makes for a really rewarding career, I think. So let's move briefly into government, public employment. So these are the large federal agencies that specifically hire sociologists, criminologists. I actually saw Penn State hire a criminologist, bachelor's degree graduate, so that they could work on their compliance with the NCAA of any criminal activity that people were doing, especially with the kind of sexual assault scandals that had happened at Penn State in recent years. So you'd be surprised where criminologists find themselves. They needed someone with an understanding of the law, an understanding of behavior that could do some analytical stuff, and they felt like a criminologist was perfect for NCAA compliance in their athletics department. So yeah, look at all these different kinds of agencies. They really make for great employers. Here's all the symbols out there. There's just so many of them. You can work for the Department of State, Department of Justice, NSA, Health and Human Services, the Department of the Interior, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Transportation, Energy, Homeland Security, FBI, Immigration, so many. So just keep in mind the potential there with government agencies. And I'll show you in a moment some of the little tricks you can do with keyword searching on government jobs. Nonprofit is an area that a lot of people overlook. So yeah, you can work in management and nonprofit agencies. Again, I think pretty decent earning potential here. Excellent job outlook growth. It's the fastest growth of all the sociology or criminology related fields. So they discuss people, programs, and services needed. They design and oversee those programs, create methods to gather information, such as statistics about the impact of their programs. They supervise staff and analyze data to determine that, carry out improvements. They develop and manage budgets and get funding for the agency's budget process or fundraising. So all the kinds of skills, research methods definitely applies to working in nonprofit, because sometimes you have to be a Jack or a Jane of all trades, do a little bit of everything to run your nonprofit. So these are just a few examples of nonprofits. So occasionally students are going, I could work for the NCAA? Yes, that is a nonprofit. I could work for the American Red Cross? Yep, nonprofit. These are any kind of organization, right? So we have the United States Olympic Committee. You have churches. You have radio stations, the Alzheimer's Foundation. You can work with animals. You can work with the homeless. You can work with children. So UNICEF, Amnesty International, immigrants. It's all kinds of potential for nonprofit work. So consider the nonprofit area, and you just kind of pick the cause or population you are most concerned with to find a great nonprofit. Lastly, we're going to move into criminal justice, and then I'll show you some of the tricks on USA Jobs that I often demonstrate to students. So in criminal justice, this is more of kind of the law enforcement side, right? So this is police and detectives. That's the kind of the annual median pay that we see them. Some smaller jurisdictions offer lower salaries. Local departments can face high turnover. So you have to realize you're a government employee. You work for the city or the state or county, depending on if you're state, local, federal. A little bit sluggish job outlook, job growth for now, but we expect this to change quite a bit as policing emerges in the 21st century and demand for policing increases. We always caution students to make sure that they know about some of the physically demanding, stressful, and dangerous work they do, but it takes a really honest, worthy person, I think, to go into law enforcement, and I'm very grateful for people that choose to serve us in that way, putting themselves in danger, working long hours on short notice, traveling in all kinds of weather, being activated at the last minute. They serve our community in ways we don't even understand. So as far as educational requirements, again, many agencies just want a high school diploma, but often officers will tell you if you want to advance, you really need a college degree or a higher degree. I had students who were existing police officers in classes tell me, I want to promote to sergeant, and I can't promote to sergeant unless I have a bachelor's degree plus 5 years experience. So that's why I'm trying to finish my degree. I'm in criminology. Candidates must be U.S. citizens or nationalized, usually at least 21 years old, and meet the physical and personal qualifications and complete the testing, go to some kind of post or police officer standards and training academy along the way. And realize most post academies are offered at community colleges. Okay, so about 85% of all posts occur at community colleges or state colleges and universities to get post certified, to essentially receive your powers of arrest and your peace officer's commission to become a police officer. So certainly there are lots of jobs here as well, but again, the statistical skills you've learned can be a huge asset to your agency. So, maybe your chief has to send off data for the UCR, the Uniform Crime Report, or NIBRS, National Instance-Based Reporting System, and they may need someone to handle all the data on the arrests for that year. They may need people to handle the data on the reporting, and they have to outsource that. Well, you can say, all right, you can outsource that for $10,000, or you can pay me $8,000 and I'll do it here in-house. And that's a way to maybe get some extra income for yourself. I've seen law enforcement agencies outsource things like surveys, community surveys, to kind of see how are we doing, customer service style surveys, and pay a lot of money to do that. This class should have prepared you to feel confident in utilizing surveys and collecting data, giving you some strategies to do so you could save your agency money and maybe collect some for yourself, which would be a great bonus in your paycheck, wouldn't it? So again, lots of different kinds of positions, whether you want to work for the courts, you want to work in corrections, probation, or if you want to work in criminal justice, law enforcement on the street, or an investigation. So I want to briefly show you my references. My information comes from the U.S. Department of Labor, Department of Education, usajobs.gov, and a few other publications that brought forward some of this good stats stuff. You got to show stats when you're in a stats class. One other trick I'm going to show you. I'm on usajobs.gov. Okay, so this is where most government searches begin for federal employment. There's two words I want you to pick up on. There are certainly other codes you can use, but the two codes I use the most when I'm searching for federal agent positions and federal officer positions are 1811 and 1896. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in the keywords 1896, and these are the kind of agent positions. You see there's a lot of Border Patrol agent positions that are open with Customs and Border Protection. But yeah, if you use anything for the most part in the 1800 series, that's where we get into inspection and investigation. So these are where a lot of the federal law enforcement jobs are hidden, and this is a little shortcut in being able to retrieve them easily. So one other one is 1811. These tend to be more of the investigator jobs, and you'll find them at all kinds of agencies like alcohol, tobacco, firearms. You'll find them in Coast Guard right here. You see we have lots of search results. Okay, so the IRS. And I tell people, almost every federal agency has law enforcement of some kind, whether it's security or internal investigation. Special agent in charge, so this is Office of the Inspector General for the United States Postal Service, okay? When we look at people sending all kinds of crazy things in the mail. So again, be creative. You'd be surprised what the opportunities are out there. But yeah, if you're going to look for those federal jobs, especially for investigators or inspectors or law enforcement at the federal level, don't forget the two codes, 1811, 1896, or even just using the 1800 series, and you can retrieve those jobs easier. And again, great earning potential. So hopefully you found this career talks useful, and I wish you the best in your search and your future studies. Thanks.